Hey guys, thought I'd do a quick partial review of my new RadRover E-Bike. This might help some people out looking to purchase one, and I thought I would just give a brief overview of some features of the bicycle and what to expect before purchasing, and some available options that you could purchase for your bike. I've had the bike now for approximately 1 week. Unfortunately, UPS lost my package at first, so it took a while to get it. But it finally did arrive and got it unboxed and put together. Assembly went pretty easy. Just had to attach the handlebars, put it on the front wheel, adjust the seat, and of course add on my accessories. Pretty seamless process. It only took about half an hour and just used the basic tools that came with the bike. So let's get into the odometer. So far in this past week I've put on approximately 37 miles. And they've been fun. Very motivating, to say the least. Riding this thing, it definitely pushes you to keep going further. It picks up when you start to slack off, which is really nice. And the performance of it all is pretty dang good. It's got pedal assist up to 5 levels. I typically stay at pedal assist 1, sometimes 2. I find 3, 4, and 5 to be a little bit much for me at times, but they are fun when you get a straightaway. And boy, does this sucker go. The battery on this thing, phenomenal. I think my last trip I did was about 10 miles. Pedal assist 1 for majority of the trip. And actually, I think when I was pedaling, I exceeded its what it was trying to put in. And so it was just raw power for me. And I came back for my trip with a full battery. And I put on about 10 miles medium terrain. And it was definitely fun. I got on the throttle a few times, got it up to about 20 miles an hour on those straightaways. And it was just fantastic. And the buttons to use on the handlebars, super easy, convenient located. And all the wires tie in very nicely into the whole assembly up there in the front. All right, so let's get into the brakes. From the package, they were actually very, very strong in the front. The rear was a little loose. After riding it, I figured having the rear a little bit looser was definitely better. A lot less skid with the rear. Disc brakes, fantastic. My only complaint is putting the front wheel on. It is kind of hard to put that front wheel on and not bend the rotor, and I unfortunately bent mine a little bit, so when I was riding my bike it would squeal just a tad as it rotated. But the brakes are very strong. They will definitely stop you from a high speed. The only downside is I think at first they're definitely squeaky. They squeal quite a bit whenever you apply the brakes, and I'm hoping over time that will start to go away. Moving on to the gears here, it's a 7-speed, rear only. Works pretty dang good. It does need, at least mine needed a little bit of a slight adjustment right out of the box, so that way it would shift smoothly. I typically find that I don't shift gears very often. I usually keep it in 6th or 7th gear, but very smooth. Pedaling is definitely a breeze with this thing, either with power assist or no power assist. It is a heavy bike, weighs in about 60 pounds, so it is a little bit to push, but like I said, I keep it usually in 5th or 6th or 7th gear. Moving on to the seat, it's definitely a nice seat. Nice handlebar on the back to help lift up the back end of the bike if we need to move it around. Very plush. I will actually be changing this seat. I think on longer rides it's not quite enough for me, but it is definitely a nice seat. I like the labels they have on there for the adjustments. But I think I'm actually going to put on the seat that I have on my hood bike. It's a little bit wider, a little bit softer. It's got the spring cushion on the bottom. Actually, I love that seat. It cost me, I think, $11 at Walmart. So I'll probably be slapping on that seat pretty soon here. Onto the paint. It's high gloss white, very smooth, very good quality. The logos, unfortunately, they are, I believe they're under the clear coat or however they apply it, but they're not stickered over the paint. But paint looks fantastic. Moving on up here to the front shocks. The front suspension here, you can lock it out or you can keep it open. And another nice feature about this is you can adjust the softness of the front suspension. I still need to tinker around with it a little bit and get a full understanding of it, but I've never had that on a bike before, so that is a nice feature. And then the wheels and tires, and these things, 4 inches wide, 26-inch rim, definitely catch a little bit of attention. Um, as far as the tire goes, it definitely grips. It is a blast to hit some of those dirt trails. You know, full confidence with those tires. But I find that they're a little loud, maybe a little too loud for my application of paved trails for the most part. I might see if I can switch my Mongoose Beast tires over. It's a less quality tire, but it's definitely not as aggressive and definitely a lot quieter than what's currently on the RadRover. I also wish I could transfer over those white wheels, but that's probably more work than what it's worth. So one of the options I got was the fenders. Fenders came. They're cheap. Um, they didn't mount quite up very well. Actually, with mine, I had to put in a spacer nut up against the forks and then add on the fender and then put another locking nut behind it just so I can get the clearance so it wouldn't rub on the back end and catch the fender. The back fender, you've probably seen a couple reviews on it. It feels a little loose in the back, a little jumpy. I found out that if I put a piece of Velcro with some rubber under it, that way the Velcro doesn't slide. If you have the rack, you know, prevents that clunky noise you'll get when it does rattle. It definitely quiets it up a little bit. It is a solid fender though. I find if you put it on your seat, it's a lot easier to kind of adjust it where you want and then lift the seat up a little bit, and that raises the whole fender and puts it all together. But I did plasti dip them. Looking at these pictures coming up, I had to plasti dip them because just the factory, you know, it scratches way too easy. So I figured I'd put plasti dip on there and eliminate the scratches and just give it that flat black look. Now this rack is awesome. This rack is specifically made, well, maybe not specifically made for the bike, but it definitely fits the bike. Very solid, no complaints whatsoever. I did see another reviewer. He had spacers on his. I believe he actually picked his bike up in Seattle from RadRover or Rad Power Bikes, and they had spacers on there. The spacers, putting those things on was a pain in the ass. It was ridiculous. We did put them on. It stretched out the bike rack a little bit on the bottom end. I mean, the spacers are just, I don't understand, unless they changed something with the rack recently and made the bottom end a little bit tighter. But the spacers, pointless, at least in my application. With the spacers, my rack wasn't perfectly centered. Without the spacers, when I actually had to take the fenders off to plasti dip them, I put it back on without spacers, and definitely a lot better fit. And as you can see here, the width of the rack, right about 5.5 inches or so. From one of the mounting bars over here to the back, you're looking at roughly 12.5 inches. And about 18 inches if you go all the way up to the bar up against the seat. Those are your measurements for you guys that are looking for the specs of the rack. From the top down, you're looking at about 10 inches. And towards the back, you're looking at about 6 inches. If you're looking for saddlebags for the back. Overall, fantastic rack. I love it. Then I added on my security measure, my Amazon knife. I think I paid 10 bucks for it. Use it for camping, a little small knife. Figure for this application, it was perfect. Zip tied it to the rack. It's not going anywhere. The knife won't slide out. It clips in. Because you'll never know what you'll find out there in the trails. Another nice feature that I like is, I forget what these are called, but they're rubber strings of some sort. I have them on my hood bike when I go pick up 6-packs. I mean, it's just, you can mold it to any shape you want. Great for holding down cargo. Easy to wrap up around the rack. Now, bike locks. The bike locks I got a thick chain lock, and actually it fits perfectly in this little cubby spot. And I have a bungee cord here, which is also good if I ever needed to use it for the bike rack. And it sits perfectly in there. I don't think I need the bungee to keep it all secure, but it fits perfect. So if I do need to lock it up, always have a lock with me. You know, it'll do the job of keeping people honest. But if a thief really wants the bike, he can break through anything. I also got the U-lock. My first one I got wasn't wide enough for the back tire, so definitely make sure you get one wide enough for a fat tire. This one I believe was 20 bucks. Fully extended, comes out to about 13 inches of clearance on the inside. And then inside width is right about 6 inches. So more than enough to clear that rear wheel or front wheel if you put it on the front wheel. Yeah, I mean, it's for the amount of price that or for what you pay for that, fantastic U-lock. And mounting it on the rear rack, you do have a couple options. I think I found for me it would probably be mounting something like this, where I put it on, secure it in the back, and then maybe use a Velcro strap or something. Maybe extend it out a little bit and Velcro strap it to this back bar. You know, pull it out just a tad bit and secure it down to that bar and keep it from rattling around. I keep the U-lock with me when I travel, but I don't always keep it on the bike. So, looking at the front here, the headlight. This is one I borrowed from my father. Fantastic light. I've been using it for a couple nights now. Needless to say, the light that came with the bike, hunk of shit. It is, you can be seen, but you can't see with it. It's I found it very disappointing for the price we paid for the bike. And surprisingly, the wires that come out of the bike to that light are 48 or 52 volts. Sorry. So I just capped off the wire, and because I can't use that power source. So right now I just have the light here, the fork's locked, and the battery strapped. But 52 volts comes out of this. So, you know, do as you will with it. Another nice thing I liked about the bike, it came with the rear tail light. Steady on, flash. It is definitely bright at night. You will definitely be seen with it. I was surprised it came with that light, to be honest, but it works. I mean, flat out, it works as a rear light. Now, this is my favorite part: the beer bottle opener. This thing is fantastic. It fits perfectly where the water bottle holder mounts up to. It is actually very convenient. You never know when you need a bottle opener. Nice thing about this bike is it's got 3 mounting points. Second one is on the opposite side of the frame. And then you have a third location on the bottom part of the frame for your water bottle holder or whatever else you decide to put in there. Very convenient for me because, like I said, you never know where you're going to be. that you'll need a bottle opener, and doesn't take up very much space, and it's a good conversation piece to say the least. So moving on up to the handlebars. Handlebars are great. Nice width, nice height. The throttle for the battery, very seamless, rolling over into the grips. Very nice motion on that throttle. Grips, fantastic. They are perfect shape for me. More oval than round. Nice leather stitching. Gives it a very unique, classy look. But like I said, it's just overall fantastic, fantastic grips on those. Great choice on that. Very comfortable for a long ride. Nice support for the wrist. Easy to access the brakes. I really have no complaints with the grips, with the overall handlebar setup. Just works out fantastic. And then the gear shifter here, easy to use. I do need to adjust it, but that's for another day. And all these cables for all the gizmos, they all come in nice tight finish, but they're not too tight. I can have full movement of the front end without stretching any wires or breaking any cables. Moving on to the bell here. This bell is fantastic. Very loud. Used it a few times already, and people can definitely hear you. Not much more else to say about a bell, but I do like it. Nice little add-on I did was for my keys. Got a little clip here. I got my 3 keys. I got the key for the battery pack, key for the U-lock, and then also a key for my cable lock or chain lock. Easy way to keep it secure on the bike, and also got a little carabiner with a little light for nighttime in case you need to poke around the bike on a trail. But that way I don't lose my keys, keeping them in your pocket. They might accidentally fall out. They don't really jingle too much. And I can always see them. They're always there when I need them. I also got an app for my phone. This fantastic app has the map on there. Shows my stats, shows my speed, my distance, date, time. A lot of good information. It is a free app. You can buy premium features with it, but for me, this is perfect. Perfect way to track my my rides, and also have a map to be able to navigate through. It's called Cyclometer. Great app. And then the phone case holder, super easy. I think I paid $6 shipped on Amazon. Just simply attaches to the handlebars. I did put a zip tie for safety measures, just to make sure it stays secure. Nice little adjustment there on the ball to move the phone around if need be. And the little X clip here opens and closes and definitely keeps the phone secure. I rode on some railroad track, right next to the railroad tracks on those bumpy rocks, those big, huge, chunky rocks. And the first thing I thought was the phone was going to fall out of the holder before the bike broke. But phone stayed perfectly secure and very solid. For $6, I mean, you really can't beat it. I like this a lot better than the rubber band holders for sure. All right, well, thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I might even be able to do a video for you if it hasn't already been done. But here to answer your questions and help anybody out. I know there's not very much information out there about these bikes. So, like I said, have a question, drop me a comment. Thanks.